Hello, Jenny Kassan here to lay down the law for you about creative fundraising strategies for your business and also how to move your money into businesses that you love. What I wanted to talk about today is pitch decks. So, pitch decks, what is a pitch deck? Many of you have heard the term, but basically it's a bunch of slides, usually prepared like in PowerPoint, that you create that describe your business in some way and that you use as part of your fundraising process. And one thing I've been thinking about, I was talking to a client about her pitch deck. I don't like calling it a pitch deck actually because I don't like the word pitch. So I call it like a slide deck. But I was talking to a client about hers and I was looking at hers and I realized that it's really important to get clear on what you're using it for before you create it. Because you might want to have different versions for different purposes. So she had created one that had a lot of information in it. It was a ton of information. Like it would take you half an hour to go through it and read it. And that could be good for certain purposes, but for other purposes, that's not good. So what I want to talk about is different types of pitch decks and when you might use them and what they should be like. So often the very first reason you would use a pitch deck is to get the attention of a potential investor. So you would create a pitch deck and you would maybe email it to someone who is a potential investor or someone who knows potential investors that might be interested in investing in your business. So that type of pitch deck, we should create names for all of these. We could call this one like the initial pitch deck or the outreach pitch deck. Like you're reaching out to someone who maybe knows nothing about you or your business or just knows a very little bit. They're probably a very busy person. You have to send them something that's going to get their attention and that isn't going to take them a long time to read. And it kind of tells a super coherent, clear story. So that type of pitch deck, you're going to want it to be extremely short, not have a ton of text in it, and really important, it has to look really good. Because if I see a pitch deck or a slide deck that doesn't look really attractive, that looks kind of like it was, I don't know, it just doesn't have that professional look to it or that well-designed look to it, I immediately think that this business is not one I would want to invest in. I know that's not very fair, but it just gives a bad impression. So that type of pitch deck, remember, these are people who you just need to give them a quick idea about who you are, what your business is, and make a really good first impression. You don't need to go into a lot of detail. You may not even need to mention in the deck that you're raising money. You might, or maybe there's one slide that just says raising $1 million for, and then like a quick list of what you need the money for. But you probably don't want to get into a lot of detail on like, I'm offering a convertible note with these terms, because this is just a way to get someone interested enough to want to have a conversation with you. So that's one type of pitch deck or slide deck. Another type is one that you would create, that you would show to someone while you're talking to them about your business. So maybe you've already sent them the first one we talked about, the intro one. You sent them an email saying, hey, I'm attaching a really brief overview of my business. I would love to set up a time to talk to you about it. Then you get on a Zoom call with them, and you say, hey, I'd love to share my screen with you so I can show you a little bit more what I'm talking about. So that is going to be different. So that type of deck is going to have a lot less text because you want to just show people stuff. You don't want them trying to read while you're talking. So what that's going to show is pretty pictures of your team. if you have something you can show that shows what your business is all about, like a picture of your building or a picture of the app that you've developed, whatever it is, logos of your customers. And you're going to want it to be in a really kind of a progression of what you're going to tell the person about. And that progression is usually going to be something like, this is what my business is. This is the problem it's solving. At that point, you might tell a story of like what made you realize this was a problem and what made you realize this was a great way to solve that problem. Then you're going to show them a little more detail about what exactly your business does, what milestones you've reached already. Like maybe you've already, gotten 3 customers that are raving fans or whatever. So you're going to tell them a little bit about that. You'll probably tell them a little bit about your team. Who else are you working with that's helping you? And that's about it. You want it to be super short because you're still just getting to know this person, sharing with them about your business. You probably won't have a slide in there that's like, I'm raising this much money using this type of instrument, because that's going to happen a little bit later. So that's the second type of slide deck. We can call that an accompaniment. I can't say that word. Slide deck, which is specifically designed to go along with you talking to a potential investor, just to show them pictures. A third type would be one that you would maybe use to follow up with someone. And that could be maybe if someone says, oh my gosh, I'm super interested, but I'd like to know a little bit more. Can you share with me more about this or this or this? Then you might send them a customized set of slides that specifically adds on the information that they're interested in. That's why my client had a really long slide deck, because different people she had talked to had asked her for different information, and she just kept adding that on, which is fine, but you just don't want to send people too much information. You only want to send them the information that they specifically request, because otherwise it's just overwhelming. What else? Are there any other slide decks other than those 3? I don't think so. Those are the 3 I can think of off the top of my head, but I just think it's super important to have multiple versions, for different purposes. If you use the wrong version for the wrong purpose, it's going to really make it hard. So for example, if you have one that's a little more text heavy and you try to use it for giving a presentation, your accompaniment version, it's not going to work well, because they're going to be trying to read all the text and they won't be able to listen to you. On the other hand, if you have one that's super long because it's adding a whole bunch of extra information and you use that for an introductory email, that's not going to work, because they're going to take a look at it and they're going to be like, oh, that's too much information. It's overwhelming. So that's all I wanted to talk about today. Don't be afraid to have multiple versions. And of course, keep working on it, keep making it look better, keep making it more succinct. Keep noticing what people are interested in when you're talking to them. And it's all a process, because when you're first talking to investors, when you're in the beginning phases of talking to potential investors, you're probably going to talk to a lot of people who are not a good fit for you at all. But you'll also talk to some people who are a potentially good fit, and you'll feel that. You'll feel like, oh, this person really gets me. This person is resonating with me. And when you talk to people like that, really notice, what is it that they're most interested in that you're saying? What do they focus on? What do they ask questions about? And those are the things that you really want to emphasize in your deck. So don't worry about the people that aren't a good fit. They might say, oh, well, why don't you make this an app? Then you want to quickly just get off the phone with those people. Don't follow up with those people. They're not a good fit. And then more and more, you'll start to get a sense of who is a good fit, who's not a good fit. And the more you talk to people who are a good fit, you'll also start to notice what lights them up when you tell them. Too bad we can't really meet in person that much right now, because sometimes you can tell a little bit more in person, but when you're talking to them, hopefully you can see their video screen, you know, you could see them on your computer screen, and you'll notice their ears will perk up when you talk about certain things, and those are the things that you want to emphasize, and just try to strip it down to those things that they're most interested in, because really it's just a process of kind of getting them interested. Once they're interested and they're excited about what you're doing, then you can share kind of all the details, like the details of what exactly the investment is, what you'd be getting. If they want to see certain backup materials or information, you can always share that. But in the beginning, you want to more focus on the things that are just going to get them excited and get them interested. And of course, for everyone, it's going to be different, the things that are going to excite them. So you want to just start to find those people that you really notice they're finding what you're saying compelling, and notice what they're most interested in, and start to emphasize those things more. Of course, you want to be true to yourself too. You know, you want to really be authentic and emphasize the things that are most important to you. But you may find there may be something about your business that you don't think is that big a deal, because it comes so naturally to you that you might kind of skip over it really quickly. And you might find that potential investors are really fascinated with that and want to hear more about it. It may be something that's really, really compelling, but you don't realize it's compelling because it's something that you kind of take for granted because it comes so naturally to you. Those things about you that are so inherent to who you are that you kind of don't realize how awesome it is. So anyway, I hope that's sort of helpful. You know, I do want to add the caveat that you don't have to prepare any kind of pitch deck at all to have conversations with investors and to even bring on investors. It's not at all required. But to the extent you do decide to do it, just really think about different versions for different purposes. And also, I can't emphasize enough that it's important to make it look really nice. If you don't have an eye for what looks nice, try to find a friend who has a really good eye for what looks pretty, what looks attractive, what looks professional, and have them give you as honest feedback as possible. Sometimes I have to be kind of hard on my clients, because I have to be a little hard on my clients sometimes, because that's just not what they're good at, and they'll send me a pitch deck that just doesn't look great, and I have an eye for that. So anyway, make sure your pitch looks great. All right, let me know if this was helpful for you. If you would like more support on preparing to raise money for your business and the strategy that goes with that and the legal issues that come up with that, we do have a membership program called the Capital on Your Terms Community. It's a monthly membership program you can join for as long as you want. I will share a link to that in the comment section below.